What's going on? It's Justeeni here. We're back with even more competitive Polytopia this week. Yeah, there's so much competitive Polytopia this week. Polytitans now, before we had the tribe duels, and the Rammed English, now Polytitans though. And it's, you can see it's on continents this time. I told you the map type would switch up with each of these games. So yes, normal continents against VTAT. You might recognize that guy. World Championship contender. He did pretty well with Hoodrick. And yeah, we've got a continents game. I decided to go with Simanti. I was the first person to pick as host with this pick counterpick system, which really sucked because I did not want to be the first one to pick. So I ultimately went with Simanti because all the other picks I feel like have really obvious counterpicks except Simanti, but I wanted to hold Simanti's counterpick. Yada yada, kind of sad, but this is what I'm doing. The opponent counterpicks with Hoodrick, and let's see how things go. So I skip turn 0 because that's part of the rules. And I can develop pretty nicely, go with this nice turn 2 double boost. And I decided to not bonus on turn 4 because the spawn looks pretty nice. I've got 2 fungi here. But then the city's garbage, so I kind of wish I bonused. But I at least have the ruin, and if I can get really quick Calathris, Dumuk spam, I can compete with Hoodrick. At least that's the idea here. But it's going to be a bit trickier with this kind of dead weight city, unless I were to get fishing. I get a riding ruin though, so that helps me. Hunting, continue to develop and upgrade. And I go for border growth, which this is a big fat no. I need to be faster here. Border growth's not the play. You can see I'm still not the greatest Simanti player out there. I go get this explorer with fishing finally, meet the opponent, who is on my continent. Because they spawned with connection to my continent. And this is terrible, because I'm stuck on 4 cities, basically. Because I'm taking this city, and that's all. And they have a turn 8 giant on my doorstep. I get network. I can get turn 9 centipede. Park of Fortune. Make that a double centipede. And yeah, I can barely take the city, except actually I can't because I have archers, and I said I was going to be stuck on 4 cities, and that's really bad. You know what's worse than being stuck on 4 cities? Being stuck on 3 cities when you see the opponent's about to get trade and they're rushing me with riders. I go for trade myself, I managed to get it off first, but I do not have the time nor space to go for Boom G to supplement my Calathris, so I am stuck with 19 star per turn, and I lose my Shaman. I couldn't actually avoid that at all. And yeah, the only way for me to realistically develop my Calathris is just pray the opponent overcommits, and I use Centipede segments. I go for Dumuks. That's not to upgrade my Calathris, it's to hopefully attack the opponent, and if I build up enough, maybe I can magically win out of nowhere. As a quick spoiler, no, I get this nice value against the giant. Gives me a fungi here, but that doesn't help my Calathris. I can get some segments, take advantage of some overcommits. But I still lose the centipede anyway. And yeah, I can make just under 2 Dumuks a turn versus whatever the heck this is. The opponent is just completely destroying me because they have half of my continent, and I couldn't really do anything about it because they just went over here instantly. I'm pretty sure the opening they went towards the lighthouse, and then their archer was just set up to go there anyway, so that's what they did. And yeah, I can't do much about that. You can try to analyze and see what mistakes I made. Sure, I guess I lose anyway. But, it is what it is. I have to try and win any game that I can. And let's go ahead and cut to the next match. Alright, so this time, now, VTAT has to pick their tribe. They go with Polaris, and this is why it's really tricky with the tribe picks, because there are some universal bans. Surprisingly, Polaris is not one of those. But it's Kiku and Aquarion. I believe those are the 2 universally banned, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Kiku's not that good, but I'm not going to question it. Aquarion's a pretty obvious ban. But yeah, Polaris, the counterpick for Polaris and why I didn't pick them is Imo. Imo terrain is very inconsistent, but Imo makes up for it by having philosophy. Polaris does not have philosophy to make up for it. So if I get really good terrain, or the opponent gets really bad terrain, I effectively have the game in the bag. Because either the opponent is way too slow, or I am way too fast. I get turn 0 meditation, because I'm looking forward to a nice C2, and we can see which direction this game seems to be going. I have the fast terrain. And you're going to see, though, because this win isn't like the most trivial, especially if you don't know what you're doing, but I'm going to show you how to do it. How to beat Polaris on continents with a tribe like Imo. So, first off, go really greedy. That's kind of normal Conti stuff, though. Like, really, really greedy. Not saving for fishing explorer, just straight workshopping it. You can see the opponent captured a village because the shorelands had just appeared there, because they just froze ice. I wasn't actually paying attention to that in the game, but like in retrospect, it's just there. They go for climbing for the ruin and vision. Star ruin, of course. And yeah, I'm just setting up markets. I'm not concerned about getting the best markets. Also, I get a park. Why do I get a park? More economy, and giants are next to useless in this matchup. The opponent is going to make riders, regardless of whether I make giants or not. I would rather have like knights or swords to deal with the riders than giants, which get frozen anyway. That's why I go with parks. Also, juggernauts are especially laughable in this matchup, so yeah, parks. And that's one reason why I'm not concerned about top tier markets, is because I don't actually need long-term economy if I already have parks. And the opponent has Ice Bank. That does not compete with markets. Even subpar markets aren't as good. But that doesn't mean like I'm just not caring about my markets. I still care about developing my markets, but the priority is speed. So I go for riding. I meet the opponent, thanks to them freezing there. And again, the priority is speed. Turn 10 markets. And this will continue to cascade, and it's going to cascade very, very quickly. My economy is just... it's just phenomenal. I go for the bridge. I don't feel like buying fishing for the Explorer, and I'm going to use the bridge anyway. See what the opponent's up to. Explorer takes like the weirdest detours of all time, but because Explorers are quite strong, they still get a lot of vision anyway. Take out their Mooney, break some ice, so then they can't get this lighthouse in case they want Eye of God. Like, they actually physically can't get Eye of God if they don't freeze their way to the lighthouse, because they can't explore over water. So I'm just breaking all this ice, being really mean. And again, my economy is great. I have a really big continent, which is kind of a nice plus in this matchup. Just more cities favors the Imo player. Pop Ruin is actually not very good, but who cares? Like, I get another lovely park. I have Chivalry on turn 13, and I just throw down 3 knights. They have Ice Archers. They're like anticipating giants, but unfortunately Ice Archers lose really hard to knights. There's the Gamis, though. Do you know what else loses to knights? Yeah, Gamis lose to knights. Like, if you just spam a bajillion knights, first off, the opponent can't do the same because Ice Banks don't allow you to spam infinite knights. And second off, they have literally no counter to knights. Knights just win the game. So this is how you get it done against Polaris Continent. You just spam a ton of knights. You need to get that eco to spam knights, and you want to do it as early as you can. And again, you don't need like all the eco in the world. You just need enough eco to spam a ton of knights, and the opponent will never be able to do the same. And yeah, I'm developing more markets because, you know, why not? It pays off very quickly. But yeah, their Gamis are just going to melt, pun intended. They go Smithery, which kind of makes sense as a response to knights. If they can get swords, they will get destroyed at least a little bit less. And I get another park because, again, giants aren't valuable. I'd rather get a knight every 8 turns than 1 giant. More market development. Sure. And then I go for a Mindbender. I'd get a giant here because I misclicked, but it doesn't matter. Again, my economy is just unbelievable. And I have tons of bridge spots. And, you know, the opponent has ice that I can take advantage of. They're even breaking their own ice, though. like do something. And I'm in the water too, so like if my knights don't win the game because they destroy other ice, not only does that worsen their ice banks, they want as much ice as possible. Speaking of ice bank, they get it on turn 17. It's just, yeah. The eco difference is way too much. They're trying to get as many Gamis as they can, but it's not going to matter. And if my knights don't break through, I'm just going to break through in the naval, break all of their ice to just deprive their economy, and eventually use like rammers and bombers and stuff to win. But knights are going to be just fine here. And I also have the Mindbender working with my riders, because the riders are pretty nice support for the knights. I decided to set up a port to potentially cause problems there. They border growth, which gets more ice, which now allows me to cause more problems, but they break all the ice. And yeah, all that Polaris is doing at this point is surviving. That's all you really can do. Again, I throw knights at the opponent, I win the game, I chain the capital, sure, GG's. So I go 1-1, leaving my total at 3-1. I've got one more set to play, and if I 2-0, I make it to the bracket stage, and if I go 1-1, I believe I go to tiebreakers. So it all comes down to the last set. Can I make it to bracket for once? Find out next time on the Justeeni channel. I don't know. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and sub, and have a good one.